YouTube, what's going on? Joe, back again for Synth Pop Review, and right away I have to say I'm sorry. It's been, God, a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks since I made my last video. Like I said in my previous video though, I'm opening up a new business, and God, I'm just slammed and swamped, and I don't have much time to make a lot of videos here recently, but I've been neglecting this channel, and I'm going to try to do the best I can. David Bowie. What a genius. What a maestro, Renaissance man. The man has meant so much to me in my life. Huge fan, and I love this soundtrack, and I love this movie. Labyrinth. Jim Henson's Labyrinth. Music by David Bowie and Trevor Jones. This movie, when I was a kid, I was absolutely obsessed with it. I watched it all the time. I didn't go to the theater to see it. It came out in 1986, but I probably saw it in 1987, I would say. And number one, it scared me. Number two, I loved it. And then when you're a kid, you know, you're kind of scared by something, and then you just fall in love with it. The same thing happened with me at Ghostbusters. But I remember watching it and just thinking, man, what is this movie? You know, are these puppets? You know, you don't know because they look so good. They look so lifelike, and they're moving like real creatures, you know. And that was the magic of Jim Henson in the 80s, you know. Puppetry. It's just a true magic. And unfortunately, we've lost a lot of that now, even with these modern Muppet movies. You know, God rest his soul, Jim Henson passed away in the early 90s, and we lost him. Contracted bronchial pneumonia. I think it was bacterial pneumonia, I'm sorry. And killed him quick. And, you know, Jim Henson was the creator of the Muppets, Muppet Show, and Sesame Street. He was the voice in Kermit the Frog. And he directed a movie called The Dark Crystal in the early 80s. And it's also a wonderful movie. If you haven't seen Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, I urge you, please go watch them. They're just works of true art, and the passion that Jim Henson put into it, and his team is unrivaled, really, in their brilliance. But going back to the soundtrack, I listened to it all the time when I was a kid. I had it on, I think I had it on cassette tape first. The CD itself didn't come out until 1989, even though the movie was released in 1986. It was on record, cassette tape first. It was a title track, the opening title sequence to Underground. As I said before, David Bowie provides the sound, the vocals for the soundtrack, and he stars in the movie too. He's one of the lead characters. He plays Jareth, the Goblin King. He's kind of the king over this fantasy world of the Labyrinth. And the main heroine in the movie is named Sarah, played by Jennifer Connelly. At a very young age, she must have been 15 or 16 years old, and she has to go into this fantasy world, kind of a la Alice in Wonderland, and rescue her baby brother, who's been kidnapped by Jareth, David Bowie, the Goblin King, to live in his kingdom. And she has to go on a journey. She has to go on an adventure to try to get her little brother back. But as I said, when I was a kid, I loved the movie. There were so many parts of the movie that kind of creeped me out, but that's why I loved it. And I used to watch it, get scared, and look over the couch. I don't know why sometimes puppets scare me. Same thing with clowns. I guess clown fear is normal, though. But Trevor Jones is responsible for the score in this movie, and he is a amazing conductor. He does a lot of movie scores. Comes to mind, he did the score for Time Bandits. He did the score for Excalibur. Both fantastic musical scores. And he worked with Jim Henson on The Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal is a much heavier movie. The soundtrack is quite a bit darker than this soundtrack is. And I don't really think that this title of track number 2 is called Labyrinth, by the way. I don't really think that Trevor Jones is breaking any new ground in this soundtrack. I think he's having a good time. I know he did dive into a lot more electronic soundscape with this soundtrack of the Labyrinth that he did with Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal was more of a symphonic score. They may have been sounds back in 1986 that were pretty fresh, but a lot of them sound kind of dated now. There's a lot of like 8-bit elements and to the sound that I like, like playing an old Atari video game or a Nintendo game. I dig that. The third track to this is Magic Dance, one of my favorite songs. I listen to this song all the time. It's David Bowie singing his heart out, you know. It's a goofy song, and I love it. What babe, the babe with the power of voodoo, voodoo, what remind me of the babe I saw my baby. Sorry. Just great fun, man. I listen to this song when I'm in a bad mood. Kind of always lifts my spirits. It's just fun and up-tempo, and a lot of like just kind of a lot of sounds, this synth sounds that you'll hear later on in the 90s. You know, it sounds like a lot of like Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch sounds kind of in there. But the kind of an interesting thing about this song, you'll hear Bowie's lyrics kind of fade away for a little while, and you hear like a baby, little gurgling baby, la la la, in there. That's actually David Bowie's sample of his voice doing a baby impression. They didn't have a baby, so David Bowie's like, well, I'll just make the baby sound. So he's doing baby sounds on the track. It's kind of funny. I wish they would do a Broadway version of Labyrinth. I think that would be really cool. I would go watch it for sure. And this is a point in David Bowie's life, you know, when he kind of left his thin white Duke persona behind. You know, he was trying to get clean of the drugs, you know, in the mid 80s. You know, he's trying to move away from that. You know, he's trying to kind of build a different persona up. You know, I guess this is considered maybe a family-friendly Bowie, but you know, he did have those really ultra-tight spandex pants in this movie. Maybe that's one of the things that scared me when I was a kid, is seeing those spandex pants and seeing that bulge down there. I don't know. Maybe that's why I like the movie. I don't know. David Bowie in spandex pants. I'm not going to say anything bad about that. You know, he's an amazing guy. But track number 4. By the way, there's 12 tracks on this. Track number 4 is Underground. I'm sorry, Sarah. This is a slower track. You're going to get a lot of slower, like more melodic tracks from Trevor Jones in this. A lot of them are like, you know, when I listen to them now, it's kind of sad to me. You know, I think it's just nostalgia for a bygone time, simpler time. Definitely a fantasy element in there. Definitely little hints of Tangerine Dream throughout also, which I really like. And another thing about this, I've noticed when I listen to Trevor Jones music, even from his Excalibur and Time Bandit soundtrack, if I listen to him with headphones, really high quality headphones, I can pick up a lot better of that soundscape in the headphones, and it's a better experience. Track number 5 is Chilly Down, another fun, quirky song. A lot of the background singers in this song, I'm not familiar with their names, but they're really nice. This was one of the main scenes in the movie that scared me, though, with the Fireys. You know, they're little puppets that could like pull their heads off and their arms off, and they would say, "Can you take your head off?" They would ask the main character if she could take her head off, and she's like, "No, I'm a human, I can't take my head off." But they're always pulling their head off, and their ears were flapping around. It used to scare the bejesus out of me, but I was an odd kid. But I bet it scared a lot of kids back in the 80s. Dark movie, PG too. There's some weird as PG. But you know, this is kind of a down and gritty song, man. You know, kind of like that too. Another good song to listen to when you're on the road. Not a lot of synth soundscapes on this one though, so we'll take it on to Hallucination. Hallucination, another really slow, kind of slow-paced song. A lot of atmosphere on this song though. Trevor Jones kind of shines in this. There's a lot of levels to this track number 6. You know, I not too long ago I listened to the Fright Night soundtrack, the original Fright Night soundtrack from the 80s, and there's a lot of similar sounds on that soundtrack. I need to research and see who did the soundtrack for Fright Night. So those little chimes, you know, it's very eerie. Then the guitar just comes full in your face, and then the saxophone it's raw, man. Of course, it's the 80s, you gotta have the saxophone. It's a very cool song, though, Hallucination is. This is track number 7, and this is kind of a departure for the soundtrack. This is its ballad, I guess you could say that. In the movie, Sarah, the girl, kind of goes in a fantasy world within a fantasy world, and she meets David Bowie. David Bowie's offering her kind of this world. He's like, if you stay here with me, I'll give you this, and you can become an adult, but at the same time, you can never really grow up, you know. It's kind of dealing with some adult themes there, which is kind of an undercurrent of the whole movie. It's kind of adult in a way. But it's kind of a beautiful scene. They're in a ballroom, you know, and everybody's wearing those Venetian masks, you know, and Bowie looks great, man, with his wig and eyeliner. Definitely a slow song, but it's gorgeous, you know, that kind of guitar melody in the background is very beautiful. And his vocal is very, very nice. As the World Falls Down. That's what this track is called, track number 7. Track number 9 is called Within You. Another Trevor Jones song. You know, you get kind of like... You get kind of a mix between David Bowie songs and Trevor Jones. This is David Bowie and Trevor Jones right here. Trevor Jones does the music, and David Bowie's doing the vocals. His vocal performance on this is really impressive. Everything I've done for you. This is a burst of sound too. I love that. We've run so long, we've run so far. Your eyes can be so cruel. I can't hit those Bowie notes. But very cool song. It's a cool part in the movie too, almost from like an Escher painting. I'm going to take it to the last track on here. This is Underground. It's kind of a tie-in from the first opening track. Kind of a continuation, really. Saxophone. This is the 80s. I know David Bowie actually charted with this song, and I've seen this song on some of his compilation collections for singles. We're walking away. Very fine song, you know. I think actually one of David Bowie's best, and Trevor Jones' synthesizer work, really all throughout this album are impressive. Like I said before, I don't really think he's breaking a lot of fresh ground in this, but you know, when I listen to it again, there is something kind of quirky about it, you know, and I always enjoy re-listening to this soundtrack over and over, but I love the movie so much, so I'm a fan. But if you haven't watched the movie Labyrinth or The Dark Crystal, I urge you to check both of them out. Jim Henson was a brilliant man. He's a brilliant man still yet. He's influenced so many people. David Bowie is a maestro, just a modern Renaissance man. I pick up everything he releases. I probably always will. High rating for this. I love soundtracks too. I'm a big soundtrack guy. But anyway, I hope to make a video quicker. I'm sorry it's been weeks. I'm doing the best I can, but I always love doing these reviews and love chatting with you about this synth type music. Underground. Have a good rest of the week, guys. I'll talk to you again real soon. Bye bye.